Part 33. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 321. Chapter 321 Failed. You are so awesome. Xiaoling was half polite and half wary. I graduated from Cambridge. Xiaoyu smiled beautifully, showing off her IQ. Xiaoling is feeling bad. Look, she graduated from Cambridge so well. Where is Rongping, a doctor who claims to have graduated from Stanford? How many have you found? Don't be compared to a girl. She complained about Rongping in her heart, but she smiled on the surface. How do you know there is a card here? If she guessed correctly, this card should be the singing bird that Luoluo found. Next picture, Xiaoyu didn't have any information about singing birds, so how did she accurately discover this music box? Xiaoyu still smiled and avoided answering the question. She only asked, "Yes, Yingling, do you want to exchange information with me?" Exchange information? Xiaoling suddenly understood how she found the music box. The direction she came from was in the same direction as Luoluo. In other words, she probably met Luoluo and the others on the way and exchanged information with them. I just don't know how much information she got. Xiaoling became vigilant. If Luoluo and the others had given all the information they knew to Xiaoyu, then as long as Xiaoyu gathered the information in her hand, they would be able to obtain the complete information on the 10 cards. I won't change, she refused decisively. Xiaoyu showed a suitably surprised expression. Not changing? Why? Yes, Yingling, this game is a competitive game, but everyone must cooperate with each other. Don't be too stingy, he said it as if Xiaoling was ignorant. Xiaoling can't learn the sweet-talking and sword-playing skills of Xiaoyu. Pretending to be a White Lotus has never been her strong point. So, she simply said with a half-joking and half-willful smile, I'm just stingy and I just won't change, so what? The cameramen surrounded them and took pictures. Everyone knows that just last year, the two actresses had an earth-shattering fight, which ended with Xiaoyu's public apology. Now that they are facing each other again on the show, will there be any passionate sparks? It would be great if you can get a great shot. Xiaoyu said slowly and softly, then how to complete your mission? If you can't collect all the cards, you won't be able to piece together the clues. The early autumn sunshine hit the side of her face beautifully, and her serious tone was like it seemed like she really cared about Xiaoling. Xiaoling smiled easily. You're wrong, Ping. She tilted her head and added, why should I worry so much? By the way, why don't you leave these things to Zheng Qinhao to worry about? Are you tired after thinking so hard? Xiaoyu secretly hated her. What did Yes Yingling mean? Couldn't the knight who laughed at her help? Actually, this is what makes Xiaoyu extremely frustrated. Zheng Qinhao has a handsome face, but in fact he is a completely neurotic amoeba with no IQ at all. Xiaoyu had to think of all the strategies by herself. That man could only be used as a coolie and was too stupid to bear to look at. It would be great if Rongping was still here. Xiaoyu was a little nostalgic, remembering Rongping's wit and agility when she broke through the level yesterday, and she even hated Xiaoling for taking away such a useful coolie. Chen Hao, however, even though she was filled with hatred in her heart, she had to smile on the surface. Brother Chen Hao listens to me in everything and takes care of me a lot. There is no need to bother him with these small things like exchanging information. Really, Xiaoling also smiled. I'm quite willing to trouble Rongping with these little things. Even though Xiaoyu said something harsh, comparing the two, it was clear that the level of knights on both sides was very high. Xiaoyu finally lost her composure, and Xiaoling said goodbye to her happily and went back downstairs. She went down to find Rongping. Finding Rongping in a secluded study room, Xiaoling told her about her encounter with Xiaoyu. At the end, she said to Rongping, find a way to find out the information about the music box card. As for the other information in Xiaoyu's hands, I probably already exchanged it with Luoluo and the others. We'll sort it out after we gather with the others. Rongping nodded and went to find Xiaoyu calmly. Both of them are high-achieving students from prestigious schools, both are actors, and are good at calculations. After some intrigues, Rongping successfully exchanged an unimportant card in his hand for the information on the music box card in Xiaoyu's hand. Xiaoyu thought she had made a profit and said to the camera, "Brother Rong is very willing to give me things that Yesin Ling is not willing to give me. Brother Rong is really a good person. I am very touched." Rongping smiled gently. With the information, he came to the designated meeting point on the second floor and met with Xiaoling, Luo, and Bai Murong. Sure enough, Bai Murong said that he defrauded the information of 2 cards from Zheng Qinhao. Why is it said to be defrauded? Because Zheng Qinhao was too stupid. Bai Murong only used 1 card to get the information of 2 cards in his hand. So, plus the 1 exchanged by Rongping and the 3 owned by Xiaoyu's group, they easily calculated that currently, Xiaoyu's group has information on 5 cards. As for the alliance between Luo group and Xiaoling group, Xiaoling has a rose card, a Cinderella card, 2 cards that Rongping found alone, and a music box card that she exchanged with Xiaoyu. The Luo group has a bird card, a snack card found together with Xiaoling's group, a card Bai Murong found alone, and 2 cards exchanged with Xiaoyu. The 4 people added up to 10 cards. Yeah, Luo was very excited. Let's look for clues quickly. Several heads were put together, and under the analysis of the top student Rongping and the witty Bai Murong, clues were quickly revealed. Luo, who was only responsible for enlivening the atmosphere, and Xiaoling, who was only responsible for cheering for the 2 male gods, led by the 2 male gods, went straight to the attic on the top floor of the castle, and looked through a lot of artificial flowers, sculptures and sundries. Rummaged through and found a key. That's right, it's the key. At 12 o'clock at midnight, Cinderella secretly opened the door. It's right, Rongping and Bai Murong took out 10 cards. Xiaoling, it's just that your information has never come in handy. It must be the key to verify the clues. This is the right information to use here. This key is the key to opening Cinderella's door, and it is also the key to Cinderella's transformation into a princess. So, the real clue about the crystal crown is this key, Luo asked. Yes, Bai Murong smiled and raised the key high. Host. Director. We have completed the task. Princess Luo and Princess Xiaoling jointly completed the task of finding clues. It's really true. Congratulations, the clown appeared out of nowhere, smiling and dancing to congratulate everyone, but he muttered dissatisfiedly, "Why didn't the show team prohibit you from forming an alliance? That's all, there's a gap." 2 big Luo's and Xiaoling's groups scored 100 points. Xiaoyu's group failed. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 322. Chapter 322, Act Well. The clown's voice spread through the radio to every corner of the castle. No, failed. Xiaoyu, who is still looking for the card tirelessly, is like a bolt from the blue. Is it a lie? She had searched hard for so long, how could she be the last one and still fail? No, she cannot accept such a result. Hurriedly led Zheng Qinhao back to the meeting place. Along the way, she had conveyed her dissatisfaction in a subtle way to Zheng Qinhao, and Zheng Qinhao had a temper that was easily provoked. He became indignant after just a few words from her. "Host, I don't agree," Zheng Qinhao said loudly, "looking for cards requires strength. It's not fair for the 2 groups to unite to deal with one of us. You came to us to exchange information, and we also found others to exchange information." Bai Murong smiled very thinly, "Who makes our side have better luck? We were paired with Xiaoling, and both of us were the same." Host, this doesn't violate the rules. The program did not explicitly prohibit alliances or exchange of information, so Bai Murong was so confident. Sure enough, the clown host said with a smile, "No, All the exchanges everyone made are valid. It seems that Princess Luoluo and Princess Xiaoling, as well as the knights of the two princesses, have a good relationship. What do you mean? Are you mocking her because Xiaoyu doesn't get along with the other two girls? Xiaoyu, who had always thought too much, suddenly thought too much and felt even more resentful. I failed, so pitiful. Luoluo asked the host with a look of sympathy on her face. Will there be any punishment for the last person who failed? With all conscience, she was really just asking casually. Unexpectedly, the clown host reached out and snapped his fingers. Yes. Punishment. I almost forgot. He danced and directed Xiaoyu and Zheng Qinhao, to come and stand over here. Stand over here? Although they knew it was nothing good, Xiaoyu and Zheng Qinhao still took advantage of it due to the rules of the program. 3, 2, 1, the clown was counting, and suddenly, a large bucket of water poured down on his head, soaking both of them. Ah! Xiaoyu screamed, her face turned pale, and she hugged Zheng Qinhao. She has been pampered since she was a child. She was taken care of by her sister Xiaoling when she was in the orphanage. After being adopted by Pei Xian, she became a princess among the stars. Everyone regarded her as a porcelain doll that broke when touched. Speaking even slightly louder is afraid of scaring her. When has she ever suffered such a treatment of being slapped in the face and having buckets of water thrown at her? I was really frightened for a moment. When he came back to his senses, he realized that his body was pressed tightly against Zheng Qinhao's body. The clothes soaked in water were very thin. Through the clothes, both of them could feel each other's body temperature and heartbeat. Let me go, she reflexively pushed Zheng Qinhao away and shouted angrily. At that moment, there was a look of disgust on his face, as if he had encountered some extremely dirty garbage. It's a pity that Zheng Qinhao is not trash, he is a king. Any normal man can't stand being disliked by a girl with such eyes in front of everyone, let alone the king Zheng Qinhao, who has always had a high self-esteem. His face turned cold. Xiaoyu, you want to hug me, but I don't want to hug you at all. Xiaoyu's face turned blue and white. Oh my god, she actually hugged a man in front of everyone, and the man even rejected her and said he didn't want to hug her. She was ashamed and angry, and even her lips were trembling. The director shouted again. Are you okay? Seeing that the two were about to quarrel, the director came over and asked with a frown. But in her heart she was very dissatisfied with Xiaoyu. Isn't it just a show, and she has to look like a chaste and fierce woman? If you can't accept Zheng Qinhao, don't try your best to participate in speed dating in the first place. She should squeeze out Zhou Yangxiu for this spot. This Xiaoyu, does he have any professionalism at all? Seeing the director's expression, Xiaoyu realized that he had made everyone dissatisfied. No matter how much resentment she had in her heart, she couldn't hold it back at this moment. She bit her lip with some grievance. She adjusted her emotions and whispered, I'm sorry, I overreacted. I have never been with a person the man has been in such close contact. She said with a look on the verge of tears, Director, can you delete that part? The part just now was recorded. If someone saw it after it was broadcast, she couldn't imagine what would happen if the quilt was weighed. My brother saw what would happen. It was one thing to participate in a speed dating show, but it was another thing to be photographed being intimate with someone. She knew that brother Zai Hung would never accept his woman being intimate with other men. When Xiaoling was still alive, even if you hold hands with a male star, brother Zai Hung will forcibly stop him with a sullen face. How could she not pay attention to these taboos when she wanted to accompany Zai Hung's brother instead of her sister? Please, you must delete that part, she almost cried. The director's voice was a little cold. Let's talk about it later. Recording programs also depends on the effect. Now, the combination of Luo and Baimurong is fresh and sweet, full of pink girlish style and doting. The combination of Xiaoling and Rongping is also yes, The two people stood together casually, without any need to deliberately say or do anything. The beautiful atmosphere was natural. The only pair, Xiaoyu and Zheng Qinhao, didn't look like a couple. The cameraman was also very distressed when they were filming. What should I do if there were no highlights at all? After finally pouring a bucket of water, Xiaoyu hugged Zheng Qinhao with great joy. The highlight of this pairing was the panicked hug, and now, Xiaoyu unexpectedly asked them to delete it without the sense of humor? It's a beautiful thought. Director. Seeing the director's perfunctory look, Xiaoyu knew something was wrong and still wanted to beg. Don't delay the filming progress. The director's attitude was very tough. The show Bizarre Adventure was very popular at the time, so even for an actress with a background like Xiaoyu, he didn't really buy it. Instead, he expressed sympathy for Zheng Qinhao, who was innocent and looked down upon. Brother Qinhao, are you okay? It's okay, you can continue shooting. Zheng Qinhao was arrogant and dedicated to his work. In fact, no one who can achieve the level of a king is an idiot. Xiaoyu, play well. Don't be too nervous. You can't meet the requirements of being my girlfriend. I have no intention of you at all. But since you're on the show, you have to act like it, understand? He scolded Xiaoyu unceremoniously, with sarcasm hidden in his words. Since Xiaoyu doesn't give him face, why should he give her face? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 323. Chapter 323, I use scissors. Ha ha ha. Bai Murong laughed without any shame. He has long disliked Xiaoyu. That seemingly weak woman not only bullied Xiaoling, but also stepped on Luo secretly. He calculated each of these accounts clearly. Hearing his laughter, Xiaoyu's face became even more embarrassed, turning red and white. Okay, let's continue shooting. All crews are in place. The director clapped his hands to greet everyone and continue working. The next step is to determine the first place. Xiaoling's group and Luo's group found the key at the same time. However, there is only one key. Who should keep it? It's really embarrassing. The clown pretended to be thoughtful. Give it to me. Luo jumped twice on the spot and looked at the clown cutely. Of course the key must be kept with me, a real princess, and cannot be given to my little squirrel. She and Xiaoling are in good terms. If you have a good relationship, you won't really give in when playing games. Xiaoling chuckled lightly. The little squirrel still pretends to be like one. Luo stared with round eyes. You are the little squirrel. Let everyone judge and see which of us is more like a squirrel. Xiaoling did not fall for her deception and showed an elegant smile. In her previous life, she was a queen, and she was favored by everyone. The vague dignity and arrogance in her body have been deeply rooted in her bones. Even if she usually looks very cute and happy, but when it comes to her true temperament, she is a queen. But will not lose to anyone. In an instant, he suppressed the girl next door type Luo. Even the cameraman had a smile on his face and gave Xiaoling a few more shots. Murong, are you really not considering switching sides? Rongping also spoke for Xiaoling and half-jokingly said to Bai Murong, it's not too late to switch to the true princess's side now. Don't try to trick me into betraying Princess Luo. Bai Murong was very determined. He touched Luo's head again and showed a big smile. Don't worry, I will always protect you. Yeah, Luo nodded vigorously and looked at him with admiration. This pair has once again started the mode of showing affection as if no one else was around. Xiaoling couldn't bear to look at it and coughed lightly. Who will keep the key? Princess Xiaoling, don't worry, we have prepared a set of the fairest, most reasonable, and most convincing games to ensure that the key falls into the hands of the right person, the clown said. Everyone looked at him expectantly. That's it, guessing. Everyone was silent. Guessing. Program team, is this what you call the fairest, most reasonable, and most convincing approach? My luck in guessing has never been very good. Lugo was confused. Baimurong stepped forward. I'm here to help you. He looked at Xiaoling and Rongping provocatively. Which one of you will go up? She's quite motivated. Xiaoling smiled, flexing her muscles. I'll do it. She thought she was better at such small games than Rongping, who looked very boring at first glance. It's strange that he usually plays guessing games with others. How could he be Baimurong's opponent in the game world? Xiaoling herself, on the other hand, was just like Baimurong in her previous life. She was very playful and very good at it. Come on, don't cry if you lose. Baimurong was full of fighting spirit. Who's crying is still uncertain. Don't go back to your mother crying. Xiaoling also turned on the taunting mode. One round determines the outcome. One round determines the outcome, the clown said, taking advantage of every opportunity. Come on, Baimurong looked at Xiaoling. Xiaoling tilted her head and showed a beautiful smile. I'll use scissors. Everyone looked at her in disbelief. What? No, she even said what she was going to do in advance. However, the next second, everyone praised her cleverness. She spoke so openly and confidently. Did Baimurong believe it or not? If you believe it, what should you do if something else happens to Xiaoling? If you don't believe it, what if Xiaoling is telling the truth? Baimurong must be quite confused. This move is really wonderful in confusing the enemy's mind before the fight. For a time, everyone applauded Xiaoling in their hearts. A smile appeared on Baimurong's lips. I'm very confident, huh? A real princess like me is so confident. Xiaoling also smiled. A real princess? A real princess would never lie, Baimurong thought to himself. He had been in contact with Xiaoling at the Xingyun song concert before, and knew that she had a very simple temper. Although she was a little clever, details often revealed her flaws accidentally. For example, this time, he was 80% sure that she would indeed use scissors. But the smile on Baimurong's lips deepened, so why not let her do it again? When he came to participate in this show, Li Lila's boss Jian Dingzuwen told him to take good care of the girl in front of him. She has suffered so much in this show, and seeing that it is the last part of the week, it makes sense to have a strong counter-attack and get first place. From being low to the bottom at the beginning, it is all for the purpose of spreading her wings and flying high in the end. In this way, she will be popular and the show will be interesting, right? Master Boss, I am going to betray Princess Luoluo for the sake of your beloved girl. Baimurong muttered in his mind and said to Xiaoling, why are you talking so much nonsense? Just punch. Sure enough, Xiaoling produced scissors. And Baimurong came out of bulletin. Scissors versus paper. Princess Xiaoling wins. The clown jumped up and down excitedly, the music and lights came to mind, and countless confetti scattered on Xiaoling's head. Now I declare that the key belongs to Princess Xiaoling. Oh Murong, you are so stupid, Luoluo complained childishly after losing the game. Xiaoling already said she was going to use scissors, why are you still so stupid as to use cloth? How do I know what she said is true? Baimurong looked aggrieved and pretended to be so. He felt a little sorry for Luoluo, but Luoluo cooperated very well with him in the show this time. Regardless of whether she can get the first place, her appearance rate and popularity will be improved, so, Baimurong didn't take it very seriously. The worst thing he could do was treat this stupid girl better in the future and make up for this betrayal of guessing games. Since ancient times, it has been difficult to have both loyalty and filial piety. Baimurong sang silently in his heart, feeling that he was extremely sad, extremely difficult, and extremely great. Over there, Xiaoling looked at them with a smile. I already said it was scissors, how could a real princess lie? It turns out that this person not only didn't notice his concession, but also despised him. Being despised by people like Xiaoling who went out without intelligence, Bai Murong only felt that Jun Fixu was more unjust than Dou on the surface. He still had to smile. Yes, yes, you are right. He now not only feels sad, but also heroic. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 324. Chapter 324 The Man in the Porsche. The show ended with Bai Murong's heroic performance. Xiaoling got the key and ranked first this week, Luoluo group was second, and Xiaoyu group was last. When finishing the work, Xiaoling turned around and found that both Xiaoyu and Zheng Qinhao looked not very good. She didn't know whether it was because they lost the game or because of the previous small conflict. Other people's troubles are always theirs. Xiaoling immediately forgot about those two people and went to Luoluo, go home together. They live together now and are here to participate in the same show. Yesterday, Luoluo came here in Xiaoling's Porsche. Unexpectedly, when he heard her invitation at this time, Luoluo shook his head. Murong said he would take me to a fun aquarium. I just happened to go back to the city later to have dinner and see the night view. Xiaoling, do you want to together? Xiaoling was slightly stunned. Right? Could this sentence really be right? Acting as a fake couple on stage, but then they really start dating off stage? You. She searched for words, but couldn't think of the right words. Bai Murong came over. Luoluo, let's go. He looked at Xiaoling again. Don't worry, I won't eat your Luoluo. I will send her home safely after we go to the aquarium. Okay. Okay, your sister. Xiaoling wanted to be violent, but after thinking about it, she was not one of Luoluo's people, and he couldn't control who she went out with. But what should a simple person like Luoluo do if he is bullied by a like Bai Murong? Handing Luoluo, Xiaoling said seriously, he is very flashy. He can make girlfriends faster than changing clothes. Have you brought anti-wolf spray? I have it in the car. I'll get you a bottle. Bai Murong, hey, can you stop saying bad things in front of me? Luoluo burst out laughing. It's okay, Xiaoling, don't worry, Murong is just like my brother, I don't care how many girlfriends he has. Xiaoling felt relieved. Bai Murong also smiled and took Luoluo and Xiaoling to say goodbye. Xiaoling watched them leave and Rongping came over. Do you want me to take you back to the city? After he got off the show, he wore a plain coat and looked gentle, like an amiable senior. It's quite easy to go with my house. Xiaoling is a little confused. Why did Rongping invite her? In fact, after watching her performance in the show, Rongping became more and more sure that he was right to choose her. Instead of lowering his status, the speed dating between the two would probably become the most eye-catching couple in the show. The premise is to overwhelm Bai Murong and Luoluo. Bai Murong and Luoluo have a strong sense of pairing. He hopes to strengthen this feeling with Xiaoling, which will also be good for filming the program next week. Xiaoling hesitated whether to agree or not. Lin Yunan has already walked over. Xiaoling, why are you still here? Quickly pack up, we have to go back to the city for a small meeting in the evening. Hence, Xiaoling no longer has to hesitate. I'm sorry, brother Rong, she said, I have something else to do, thank you for your kindness. Rongping also heard Lin Yunan's words. Although he felt that he was ignorant, he had no choice but to say goodbye to Xiaoling. Xiaoling then turned to look at Lin Yunan. What small meeting? How come she hadn't heard about any other meeting? No way, it must be very late after returning to the city, and I still can't rest, my God. Lin Yunan said, there was no meeting. Ah, why did he want to lie to Rongping? Stop dawdling, get in your own car quickly, I'll put you in the car and that's it? Really, why do I, an agent, need to work part-time as a nanny? Lin Yunan muttered dissatisfiedly while pushing her into the car. He got into the back seat of the Porsche and slammed the door. "Hello." Before Xiaoling could react, she turned around and opened the window to call him. "Lin Yunan has already gone far." "Who is he? He's so nagging," she sighed and muttered softly. When he turned around, he was shocked. "Wow, Lilei, you're going to scare me to death. Why are you sitting here without saying a word? I'm going to have a heart attack from you." In the back seat of her car, in a clean and soft off-white armchair, a man was sitting lazily, with a big and gentle smile. It was Lilei. "Are you scared so easily?" Lilei leaned forward and approached her. Okay, I should let Lin Yunan tell you first." "Tell her what? Is he in the car?" No wonder Lin Yunan stopped her from following Rongping just now. It turned out that he had long known that a great was waiting here. Xiaoling muttered, "When did you and Lin Yunan have such a good relationship?" That's simple. Lilei had been with her for a long time and it was easy to follow her thinking. "I said if he doesn't help, I will go directly down to find you. He was so frightened that he almost wanted to kill me and silence me, ha ha ha." "You're still laughing?" Xiaoling was speechless. What kind of evil person is this? She resignedly sat down next to him and told the driver to drive back to the city. The driver was her new hire, but he was introduced by Sister Maina. He had driven for celebrities before and knew what to see and what not to see, what to say and what not to say. Now, seeing Lilei and Xiaoling didn't show any surprise. She was very trustworthy. Lilei reached out and took Xiaoling into his arms. "Hey," Xiaoling glared at him and struggled a little. "I miss you." He rubbed her body, like a large pet, not letting go. Xiaoling was not very happy at first, but when she heard his words "I miss you," she suddenly felt her heart soften. Early this morning, he drove to the filming site to deliver food without even seeing her face. He was a big boss, hiding here and there to wrong himself. "You shouldn't have waited until now since morning, right?" "I didn't wait much." Lilei's voice was a little unclear. He lowered his head and smelled the good smell on her body. "I have some official business to deal with, and I had several conference calls in the car." It turned out that he had never even exited the car door. There are also meetings in such a small and cramped space. Xiaoling felt sour in her heart, and she let him hold her without even realizing it, without resisting anymore. "Don't do this next time," she said softly. "Are you stupid?" "I'm just stupid," he admitted shamelessly, but there was a hint of smile in his voice. "I stupidly ran over and stared at you, afraid that you wouldn't be able to eat well, afraid that you would be bullied, afraid that you—" "What?" "I'm afraid you'll run away with someone else." The last few words were very low and disappeared into the silent air. Xiaoling's heart suddenly palpitated slightly. Has he been so insecure for a long time? That's why she was so worried that no matter where she went, he would follow her tirelessly. "I won't run away with anyone," she said, reaching out and patting his arm as if coaxing a child. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 325. Chapter 325, The Annoying Little Goblin. Neither of them spoke anymore, and the car became silent. Lilei's arm holding her tightened slightly, but he was very careful to make her lean comfortably. Xiaoling rested her head on his chest and listened to his gentle heartbeat. She felt very peaceful inside, as if the fatigue of the whole day was far away from her. Whether it's pretending to be silly or cute in the show, or having an intrigue with Xiaoyu, it's no longer important at this moment. What's important is that he's in his arms. He let her do what she wanted to do. No matter where she went or how high she flew, he would always be very considerate and guard her from behind. He would not show off his achievements, but give her the warmest care. This is the kind of love she wants. While thinking this, her mind gradually became confused. She gently picked up the corners of his clothes with her hands, and fell asleep in the extremely stable driving feeling of the luxury car. Li Lei lowered his head and stared at the sleeping face of the girl in his arms. She was very quiet in her sleep, her delicate eyes were gently closed, her long eyelashes cast a faint shadow under her eyelids, and there was some gray under her eyes, presumably because she had not had a good rest in the past few days. He took off his coat and covered her, then asked the driver to turn up the air conditioner, then hugged her again and closed his eyes to rest. She is not the only one who is busy during this period. He has never told her, and he has not slept well for many days. The car drove to the downstairs of Xiaoling's house. The driver woke up Li Lei first. Li Lei opened his eyes and made a silent gesture. He lowered his head to see that the person in his arms was not awakened, and then he breathed a sigh of relief. Looking at the dark night outside, he wanted to carry her upstairs, but he was in a dilemma. This annoying little elf was so stubborn that he didn't even give him the key to his apartment. What should he do? Yes, he could climb over the wall, pry open the door, or simply call in his explosion-proof experts to unlock the door, but in that case, Xiaoling would 90% fall out with him. She was clamoring to leave in the first place, wasn't it because she felt that she had no privacy? Is there no sense of security in space? No, 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 he couldn't let her feel that everything was under his control anymore. Boss Li was grieving. How about I go to your place, the driver suggested in a low voice. This driver is actually Li Lei's subordinate. Li Lei secretly placed people next to Xiaoling through Sister Mai and a poor stupid girl. She thought she was an unrelated person outside, and she was so cutely stupid. If there is anything about Xiaoling that Boss Li is most satisfied with, it is undoubtedly her IQ. Thinking of this, the boss's lips curved into a slight smile. However, he rejected the driver's suggestion. Go to a Wei's recording studio. This period of time for Xiaoling was a cleaning period, and he was not sure if there were paparazzi lurking nearby. To be on the safe side, it was better not to be too ostentatious. If the paparazzi photographed her going to his apartment, the news would break out the next day. However, if she was photographed going to Wei Sheyin's recording studio, it was different. It could be regarded as overtime work. The driver turned around and drove towards the recording studio. Li Lei personally carried Xiaoling out of the car and into the restroom of the recording studio. Because Wei Sheyin was an inhumane workaholic who loved to work overtime, there was a special sleeping bed in the recording studio, and Xiaoling often slept there for a while. Li Lei couldn't bear the thought of his beloved girl sharing a bed with Wei Wei, so he opened a special lounge just for Xiaoling to sleep in. He put her gently on the bed and covered her with the quilt. I sat on the edge of the bed and looked at her for a while. After thinking about it, I turned off the light, got on the bed, and fell asleep with her in my arms. So, when Xiaoling woke up, she saw the boss jumping on her like an octopus. Xiaoling, a classmate with black lines on her head, reached out to pinch his face. Hey, wake up, why are you in my bed? Although they had never slept together before, hadn't they broken up now? How is it appropriate for a man and a woman to sleep together in the same bed? Thinking of this, she pinched the big boss's cheek a little harder. Master Boss woke up with a look of grievance. Who screwed me? Child Xiaoling looked at him angrily. Good morning, Xiaoling, he smiled drowsily. Who told you so early? Xiaoling, a classmate, said angrily. Say. Why did I sleep here? Did you eat my tofu yesterday? I didn't eat much. Xiaoling glared at him. Master Boss refused to admit it. Really, it was you who held me and refused to let me go. Is that so? Xiaoling was doubtful. The boss, who had already figured out her IQ, nodded vigorously. That's it, I won't lie to you. You didn't wake up no matter what I called you yesterday. I couldn't open your door, so I had no choice but to send you to the recording studio. You put it on the bed in the lounge. When I put the quilt on you, you used me as a quilt and pulled you hard. Is she so hungry? Xiaoling blushed. Maybe it's too cold. Lord Boss kindly helped her out. Yes, that must be the case. Classmate Xia Ling comforted herself. The boss was very happy to have successfully fooled her. He helped her get up attentively and brought her clean clothes to change. These clothes were always kept in the lounge. After changing them, she opened the schedule sent by Wei and took a look. There is an announcement in City B in the afternoon and we are about to leave. Won't you have some breakfast? Ask your assistant to buy some and take it with you to eat on the road. Li Lei said nothing more, lowered his head and kissed her forehead before sending her to the car. At the door of the lounge, Xiaoling asked him to stop. Just come here, there are people coming and going outside. I'm leaving, you take care of yourself. Her back was thin, projecting a beautiful shadow in the long and narrow corridor in the early morning. The shadow is like the most thought-provoking swaying flower in the morning light. Xiaoling Li Lei called her. She turned around. Let's get back together after this wonderful adventure show is over. Unexpectedly, he suddenly mentioned this, and she was slightly stunned. Compound. A little sudden, but also like a matter of course. Recalling the feeling of being held by him last night, and the feigned anger when she woke up this morning and pinched his cheek, she knew very well that she did not reject him. A woman's body is the most honest. You can be intimate with the person you like. If you don't like it, even touching it will make you feel nauseous. At least her body didn't reject him. That's it, Li Lei said before she could speak. He couldn't stand hiding all day long anymore. He didn't even have the right to send her to the car. He wished he could walk side by side with her as soon as possible. Xiaoling hesitated for a moment. Let's talk about it later. She didn't give him a clear answer, but she was more or less willing. During the time she moved out, she found that she had long been accustomed to having him by her side. Sometimes when he was not around, she couldn't help but miss him. Habit is really an incurable thing. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 326. Chapter 326 Program Evaluation. The Bizarre Adventure program will be aired soon after a short edit. Once it was broadcast, it attracted enthusiastic responses. Many people praised Xiaoling for her outstanding performance in the face of difficulties and the noble temperament she showed at all times. Many people say that she is like a real princess. Even if she is down and out, her eyes are still clear and her back is still straight. No matter who the real princess is in the end, the princess in my heart is Yexing Ling. Comments like this can be seen everywhere on the program's official website and forums. Bai Murong and Lugo are so cute together. Wow, they are so cute. This is the second most frequent comment. Lugo's pink and fresh girlish style is very popular. She and Bai Murong are sweet and cute. The friendly image is deeply rooted in the hearts of the people, and many people have begun to discuss how long they can be together. Rarely, many fans who are used to Bai Murong and major actresses being together on and off said this time, Lolo is so cute. He looks cute and innocent, and he matches Murong very well. Let's settle down this time and stop changing girlfriends. The combination of Rongping and Xiaoling has also won a lot of praise, most of them praising the handsome men and beautiful women for their eye-catching appearance. As for Xiaoyu and Zheng Qinhao, this pair seems to have no spark. What kind of person does Xiaoyu like? You see, she doesn't touch Zheng Qinhao very much. Who said that? Didn't she scream and hug Zheng Qinhao during the shower? So what if I hug you? That's the instinctive reaction of people when they are scared. Even if there is a piece of wood next to them, they will hug you. And did you notice that after getting wet, Xiaoyu deliberately kept a distance from Zheng Qinhao and became more separated? Opened. Who does she think she is, that she looks down on our brother Chen Hao. What's so great? Her sister Xiaoling is on an equal footing with our brother Chen Hao. She thinks she can too. You really treat yourself like a dish. Zheng Chenhao's idiot fans were angry, and their raging anger to defend their idols was directed at them. Burn away with the summer rain. Xiaoling secretly checked the forum with her mobile phone while taking pictures of announcements in City B. Seeing these comments, she felt quite happy. She began to reflect on whether she was too bad, why she was fine when she saw others were bad. Then she thought that it didn't matter. She had dedicated her whole life to Xiaoyu in her previous life, and it was time to collect some interest. However, not long after brushing, she became unhappy again. For no other reason, she was actually flooded with curses. At first, it was Xiaoyu fans who fought back against Zheng Chenhao fans. What's so great about Zheng Chenhao? It was Rong Ping who decided to choose our Xiao first. Zheng Chenhao is just following the trend. Our Xiao can see an unsteady man like him, that's weird. One stone stirs up 1,000 waves. Fans of Zheng Chenhao who were offended even more violently sprayed fire. Aha, Rong Ping. Why didn't you see the best actor Rongda guarding Xiaoyu until the end? The best actor Rongda must have seen through Xiaoyu's green tea table a long time ago. We went to Yezingling's side on the way. We are the only ones who are innocent and deceived by a vicious woman like Xiaoyu. In fact, none of them can tell where Xiaoyu's green tea watch is. However, since she fought with Yezinling a long time ago, was severely slapped in the face by Yezinling, and she publicly apologized, the three green tea watch the word spread from Yezingling's fans, referring specifically to Xiaoyu. Now, Xiaoyu has offended Zheng Chenhao, and Zheng Chenhao's fans suddenly started to share the same hatred as Yezingling's fans. Xiaoyu fan was so angry that she dragged Rong Ping into the water. Rong Ping is blind, so he can let our family Xiao go and find that Yezinling. That woman was just kicked out of the house by the Li family. She is just a person no one wants, so you can't have a bad history when you are a star. The Navy will miss you for the rest of your life. Xiaoling almost cried while reading the comments. Who did she offend? Lie down again. City B, backstage dressing room. Lin Yunan chewed gum and looked at her sideways. What's wrong? You look unhappy. You're going to go on stage to sing Stray Cat later, and this state is not good. Ever since Xiaoling said she didn't smoke second-hand smoke, she was bitter. Lin Yunan was so depressed that she could only use chewing gum as a substitute. When the craving for cigarettes broke out, she was not very friendly to her. Xiaoling said weakly, "Don't worry, this won't happen when I go on stage." She had been on stage numerous times in her previous life, and she already knew how to adjust herself. The most serious time was when she was surprised to learn that Pei Xian and Wang Jingguan were engaged in the morning, and held a solo concert in the afternoon. Yes, even though her heart was shattered, she didn't show any signs of it during the 3-hour concert. In comparison, this matter now is simply a piece of cake. Lin Yunan glanced at her and bared his teeth in a smile. It's best to be fine, otherwise. Otherwise, you want to give me a death notice? Can you terminate the contract with me? It's up to you. Xiaoling's mind was not on Lin Yunan's warning at all. What's going on? Lin Yunan was also a little curious and turned his head to look at Xiaoling's cell phone. I happened to see a comment, who is Yezinling? It's pretentious and disgusting. I don't know what kind of ecstasy soup was poured into Rong Ping to seduce him so much that he actually abandoned a princess as beautiful as Xiaoyu and went to work for her. Does she deserve it? I bother. Bitch. There were a lot of vomiting emoticons behind it. Lin Yunan was silent for a moment and burst into laughter. I knew you could attract hatred faster than a rocket. Ha 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 ha. He held his stomach. This is only the first show, and you have successfully attracted so much firepower. Okay, Xiaoling, Xia Yufan probably hates you to death. You're still laughing. Xiaoling glared at him unhappily. I hate them too. I really want to pull out their network cables. What should I do? You can't seduce Zheng Qinhao. Oh no, hook up here. Xia Xiaoling, the classmate, was almost thrown into a ditch by those idiot fans. Why are you anxious? This kind of thing doesn't matter at all. Lin Yunan shrugged, looking nonchalant. This is the meaning of the alliance. Someone will be more anxious than you. You mean, Rongping? When Xiaoling heard him mention the alliance, she immediately thought of it. The answer is correct. Lin Yunan snapped his fingers and threw a piece of chewing gum into his mouth. Just wait. If Rongping doesn't save the beauty as a hero, what qualifications do he have to be called a male god? What a good opportunity. Show his charm. Sure enough, that night, the actor Rongda issued a statement on his Weibo. The general idea is that Xiaoling is very good. It is the first time that he has such a good impression of a girl. After getting along with her, he found that she has many shining points. He asked his fans to be tolerant to her and not to listen to people who do not know the truth. Her slander should not be echoed by others. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weiniang. Chapter 327. Chapter 327, Silver Thin Needle. Rongping has a huge fan base, and they all responded to the great actor's call to support Xiaoling. Their great actor has finally blossomed after so many years, and he has a little bit of ambiguity with a girl. He must not let this relationship be aborted just because of the malicious slander against the girl from the outside world. How they hope that the best actor Rongda will get married, oh no, marry a girl quickly and start a family. After all, Rongping is also in his 30s. The overwhelming fan attack quickly drowned out the abuse from Xia Yu's fans. Brother Rong just thinks Yexing Ling is better, how about it? Do you care who my Rongping likes? Who is Xia Yu? Don't take yourself too seriously. Brother Rong has the best taste, and the girls he chooses are also the best. Yexing Ling, we support you, come on, don't be knocked down by some women and fans with ulterior motives. One post after another flooded the screen, quickly occupying the official forum. As expected, having many fans is powerful. One person can drown Xia Yu to death with just a drop of spit. While Xiaoling was catching up on the announcement, she glanced at the forum a few times, thought about it, and sent a text message to Rongping, "Thank you." After a moment, Rongping replied, "You're welcome." The trend of public opinion has turned towards the couple, and Rongping has also received a lot of comments he wanted, saying that he is a god, responsible, and able to protect his girls. Plus Xiaoling's thanks, it's worth it. Xiaoling's mood returned to a stable state because of his action. Xia Yu was so impressed that she couldn't even see her dregs. She secretly guessed Xia Yu's mood at this moment and felt that she felt comfortable all over. Everyone is fine. Amidst the heated discussions and high ratings, the Bizarre Adventure program ushered in its second week of filming. This week, a group of people competed for the real princess. After experiencing a series of mini-games, Xiaoling's talent for fun, coupled with Rongping's high IQ, won them the final victory. Take a rest. The director was very satisfied and asked someone to change the scenery. Xiaoling, go and change your makeup with Rongping. We will shoot the real princess close-up later. The so-called real princess close-up refers to the real princess close-up. After the princess is revealed, she will put on a gorgeous and beautiful princess dress, hold the knight's hand through the romantic perfume rain, and put on the crystal crown. She walked to the makeshift dressing room, where several stylists were busy around her. Lin Yunan walked in. Gu Lin is here. Xiaoling's originally calm mood suddenly turned bad. She's here like this, how could it be so easy for people she didn't like to get together? Having Xia Yu on the set is already annoying enough, but now even Gu Lin is here, can you still have fun? Lin Yunan said, the Gu family is the sponsor of this episode. Perfume Rain uses star wings. Miss Gu said she wanted to come to the set. Who wouldn't give her face? Xiaoling remained silent in front of several makeup artists and outsiders. Although she didn't like Gulin, there was no need to expose the conflict in front of everyone so that everyone could see her good show. Lin Yunan could see what she was thinking. Don't worry, I think you are too busy, so I asked Wai Wei to stay outside so that no one can come in. Xiaoling's expression improved now. She really didn't want to see Gulin. As expected, Gulin did not appear in front of her. Backstage, Gulin said to the accompanying producer, "You go and do your work. I will rest here for a while and walk around. Don't worry, I won't get lost." The eldest lady, who had been patiently accompanying the sponsor, felt relaxed after hearing this, and they dispersed to go about their business. Gulin wandered to the cloakroom, where there were many props and costumes for performances, including the princess dress that Xiaoling would wear later. The long skirt is made of 7 or 8 layers of chiffon, decorated with lace and beads, and is stacked in a large ball in the corner of the room. Gulin looked at the long skirt and smiled. She didn't just come here to wander around. In fact, she came here to find this long skirt. Ever since she had a conflict with Xiaoling at the Star Wings commercial shooting scene, Gulin was unwilling to be stepped on by Xiaoling again. Angrily ordered Qian Yang, Gu's publicity director, to inform her immediately of any developments related to Xiaoling in Star Wings from now on. So, here, the program team had just secured the sponsorship of Star Wings, and over there, Gulin learned of the news. The publicity director also told Lai Gulin the detailed process and told her that Xiaoling was the favorite to win the title of true princess. Gulin was angry. Why could that woman win the title of real princess? She is simply a commoner and grassroots Cinderella who doesn't know the heights of heaven and earth, and she doesn't deserve it. After much thought, she came up with an idea that she thought was good. She looked around and saw no one in the small prop room, so she quickly picked up the princess dress, took out a few slender sewing needles from the small bag she carried with her, and carefully tied them on the dress. "Humph, bitch, I'll stab you to death." Gulin could already imagine how Xiaoling would look like after putting on this long dress and being pricked and bleeding. By then, if she was injured, the filming would definitely not be perfect and the director would definitely be replaced. Even if the director doesn't change, she, Gulin, can use her status as a sponsor to put pressure on the director, saying that Xiaoling's condition cannot meet the sponsorship requirements of Star Wings, so they must replace her. Although Xiaoling is the spokesperson of Star Wings, there is no obvious endorsement in this kind of variety show. It doesn't matter which actress has passed through the perfume rain. Miss Gu left the prop room with her wishful thinking. A person was walking towards me. A hint of panic flashed across Gulin's expression, but she quickly covered it up, lowered her head, and left in a hurry. The person she walked face to face with was Xiaoyu. Xiaoyu recognized Gulin. She had met her at the Emperor's cocktail party before, and her ability to remember people was always very good. What is Miss Gu doing here at this time? Xiaoyu Ki didn't believe that she came to visit the crew out of boredom. There was no one in the crew who was familiar with Gulin. Moreover, the look on Gulin's face was so panicked that something was wrong. Xiaoyu has always been meticulous and followed Gulin's path to find the prop room. She saw the princess dress that was thrown into a ball in the corner. He leaned over, looked around the dress carefully, stretched out his soft, boneless fingers, and gently picked it up. Among the layers of tulle, there are thin silver needles looming. However, the insertion position is very rough and it is too easy to be noticed. I am afraid that before the dress is put on a person, all the needles will be pulled out and the dress will be removed. Check the dress carefully. Xiaoyu pulled out all the sewing needles and sneered in her heart, is this Gulin an idiot? Framing people like this not only does no harm, but the traces are too revealing and can easily lead to thorough investigation. Forget it, since their enemies are all the same person, then let her help Gulin. Xiaoyu smiled and stood up. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 328. Chapter 328 Pearl Decoration. In the dressing room. With the help of the staff, Xiaoling put on a princess dress with layers of gauze. She is petite and has slender bones like an elegant bird. She looks beautiful in such a long dress, and her movements make people unable to take their eyes away. Rongping also changed into a knight's uniform and came out. Although the program team used 50-cent special effects on many props and settings, they did not spare any effort on the costumes of the real princess and knight who won the championship in the end. The extremely sophisticated knights were decorated with shining metals and neat tailoring, which made Rongping's whole person heroic and handsome. He performed a perfect knight's salute to Xiaoling and stretched out his hand to support her. His perfect manner made all the staff unable to take their eyes away. The white jade steps are covered with flower petals. In front of the steps, Xiaoling raised her head slightly and looked at Rongping. Her appearance is only delicate, not as beautiful as Xia Yu's natural beauty, but the noble temperament she naturally reveals is heartwarming, and her eyes are flowing, just like a real princess looking at her exclusive guardian knight. They are not the most beautiful couple, but they are definitely the couple with the best acting skills and the most beautiful pictures. The director was very satisfied that he had not chosen the wrong person for the real princess this time. In the sound of gurgling piano. With Rongping's support, she walked through the romantic perfume rain step by step and stood in front of the treasure chest. Rongping opened the treasure box with his white-gloved hands, took out the exquisitely carved crystal crown, and put it on her head carefully and preciously. Her long crow-green hair shimmered slightly in the sun, and she had a charming smile on her jade-white cheeks, which was elegant and moving. Everyone held their breath, anticipating their next move. Xia Yu's expression also revealed a hint of concern. The success or failure of her hands and feet on the princess's dress depends on the next step. Under the camera lens. Rongping is an actor. He has read the script before, and after roughly walking and rehearsing, he is already familiar with the process. He lowered his head and looked tenderly at the girl in front of him who was nearly a head shorter than him. He naturally put one hand around her waist and moved towards him, about to plant a kiss on her forehead. However, something unexpected happened at this moment. Suddenly, Xiaoling screamed and fell forward. Xiaoling, Rongping was caught off guard and subconsciously held her waist tighter, letting her fall into his arms. "What's wrong with you? Are you okay? Sister Xiaoling." "Yes, Yingling." People around him exclaimed. Xiaoling fell weakly into Rongping's arms, her face pale, and she felt pain in her waist, making it difficult to even move. "What's wrong with you?" Rongping was still asking, and his hand around her waist tightened. Xiaoling felt the sharp stinging intensify, she screamed in pain again, and cold sweat started to fall on her forehead. She moved her lips with difficulty, and it took a lot of effort to spit out a few words. "Loosen your waist." "Waist?" Rongping was stunned for a moment before he reacted. He let go of his hand around her waist and looked down. The princess dress she was wearing had a very thin waist, was wrapped in layers of satin and gauze, and was decorated with many white, round beads. It didn't look out of the ordinary. "It hurts so much," Xiaoling said with difficulty. Rongping was at a loss. Why does it hurt? Apart from filming, he rarely interacted with women, and he had never been in love. He didn't know how to take care of a girl, let alone what to do when a girl was injured. The surrounding artists and staff gathered around. Xia Yu also took a few steps forward with concern, but from an angle that no one could see, a faint smile appeared on her lips. Great, her plan worked. That named Yingling was injured and her waist needs to be taken good care of. I'm afraid she won't be able to film anymore. The title of this true princess will change hands. Get out of the way. Get out of here, a man's violent voice said. Before anyone had time to react, the man had already rushed into the crowd and threw out the staff members who were blocking the way. "It is Lin Yunan." He looked at Xiaoling in Rongping's arms, and his eyes quickly fell on her slender waist. He wandered around for a few times, and suddenly his eyes focused, and he reached out to pull out the white beads on her dress. As a round pearl was pulled out by him, Xiaoling let out a cry of pain and gasped. Everyone also gasped. In Lin Yunan's hand, he saw that it was not an ordinary pearl ornament at all, but a pin connected to the pearl. The pin was extremely long and had mottled rust and blood stains on it. It was obvious that it had penetrated deeply into Xiaoling's body, causing her injury. Lin Yunan's expression was ugly, and she said to Xiaoling, "Be patient then." With flying movements, he quickly pulled out the remaining pearl embellishments from the waist of her dress, a total of 11. Sure enough, under each pearl, there is a long embroidered pin hidden. Who did this? Luoluo was the first to react, and his body was shaking with anger. Who framed Xiaoling? All the staff looked at me and I looked at you, and there was silence. Lin Yunan said, "Now is not the time to hold people responsible. Rongping, you carry Xiaoling into the car and take her to the nearest hospital." After all 11 pins were removed, it was discovered that Xiaoling was seriously injured and her blood was red. The beads are dyed layer by layer along the white gauze skirt, which is shocking. What's more serious is that those pins are rusty and come into direct contact with blood. If they are not done properly, they will get tetanus, and they must be sent to the hospital for tetanus shots as soon as possible. Lin Yunan's eyes became cold. No matter who dared to frame his artists, he would make them look good. Rongping Yuan was at a loss at first, but he realized what he said after hearing Lin Yunan's words. Without saying a word, he hugged Xiaoling and got into his car. Lin Yunan followed, and Rongping's manager Jimmy was afraid that something would happen, so he also followed. A group of staff and other artists were left behind, not knowing how to react. Hateful. Xiaoyu was very unhappy, biting her lips as she looked at the hurried car of the best actor. Why do so many people get nervous when something happens to that bitch? What did Rongping, the blind man, like about her? However, no matter how angry she was, there was nothing she could do. The only thing she could do was to pray, praying that the few injections she put into Xiaoling would be effective and hurt her so that she would not be able to record the show. It would be better if she got tetanus. In the car, Xiaoling pulled out the pin, but the bursts of pain had not yet subsided, and she was suffocating. Rongping comforted him, "You will be at the hospital soon." The warm and soft fragrance of the girl was on his nose, which made him a little distracted. Xiaoling felt uncomfortable being held by him, and she didn't like being so close to a man who couldn't even be called a friend. There were no cameras at this moment, so she said weakly, "Let me go, I can sit by myself." Rongping frowned but did not let go. "Don't move around," said Lin Yunan. "If you don't want to die, don't speed up your blood circulation. Who knows if you will get tetanus?" Xiaoling was a little frightened and stayed still. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weiniang. Chapter 329. Chapter 329 Substitution Troubles. Lin Yunan then turned his eyes away from her and landed on the pin in his hand. The pearl at the top is very beautiful, and it matches the princess dress perfectly. If it were not pulled out, no one would know that there is actually a hidden edge under the pearl. Is it a coincidence? Or on purpose? Lin Yunan knew that there would be a lot of pins scattered in the props room and dressing room, because many of the costumes were rented in advance and were often not suitable for the height, fatness, and thinness of the stars, so he would use pins to mark them. Convenient for modifications and adjustments. This kind of pin is prone to rust after being used for a long time. but at the same time, all 11 of them were rusty. This is probably not a coincidence. It seems that what he said a few days ago has come true. This girl can draw hatred as fast as a rocket. Who did you offend this time? Lin Yunan took out his mobile phone and made a call. Wei, go to the room where the costumes and props are kept and take pictures for me. Also, look for any other pins on site. Collect them all and bring them to me. Rongping put down the phone and glanced at him. What are you looking at? Lin Yunan said angrily, can't you be gentler when you hold her waist? Look how deep these needles go. Before Rongping spoke, Jimmy had already begun to defend his artist. Brother Rong didn't mean it, and besides, he didn't use much force. Rongping takes a gentle route, and his actions when dealing with girls are absolutely impossible. Rough, Jimmy had seen it clearly when he was on the set before, and he didn't make a single mistake. If you want to blame it, you can only blame this girl for being so unlucky that she didn't even know there were so many hidden weapons on her long skirt. Actually, this is Xia Yu's brilliance. Gu Lin's previous frame-up technique was too crude, and the embroidery needle inserted into the skirt was too obvious, and it might not be able to pierce Xiaoling. However, it was different when Xia Yu replaced it with a beaded pin. The round and gorgeous appearance of the pearl made it easy for people to regard it as an embellishment of the dress itself, and it was inserted at the waist, with several layers of gauze carefully stacked. During daily activities, it will not be affected, but if anyone reaches out to hold her waist, those needles will pierce into her body. Xia Yu has read the script and knows that after the knight puts the crystal crown on the princess, he will put his arms around the princess. She took every step carefully and calculated carefully. Lin Yunan raised his head and glared at Jimmy. You didn't use too much strength. The first time Xiaoling was injured, your back hurt, but he didn't let go and held him tighter. Are you sensible? Rongping felt angry and said in a hoarse voice, I will be responsible for the medical expenses. Lin Yunan wanted to continue taunting her. Did Xiaoling just lack the medical expenses? However, he is an agent after all, and when the movie star has already apologized in disguise, for the sake of future cooperation and Xiaoling's popularity, he can't be too aggressive. Lin Yunan glanced at Rongping and said, be careful in the future. Rongping ignored him and lowered his head to look at Xiaoling. Xiaoling was so noisy that they had a headache. She leaned against Rongping's arms as she lay dying, her eyebrows slightly furrowed. Although Rongping looked at the gentleman, his ability to really coax girls was infinitely close to zero. He thought that it might be better if she distracted her attention, so he ran out of words to say, I don't know where the skirt comes from. Pin. Xiaoling snorted in response. I was thinking, maybe it's Gu Lin? It was fine during the filming last week, but as soon as Gu Lin came to the set this week, something like this happened. They have a grudge, so it's not surprising that she wants to frame her. Lin Yunan has received the photos taken by Wei. In the photo, there are many beaded pins scattered everywhere in the messy prop room. However, most of them are still smooth. Even if there are a few rusty ones, they are not badly embroidered, as if the most rusted ones are. All the money was concentrated on Xiaoling's dress. Lin Yunan can already conclude that someone framed Xiaoling. Who is the one? Gu Lin? He sent a text message to Wei, asking her to pay attention to Gu Lin's whereabouts. Xiaoling was examined at the hospital and given a tetanus shot. The doctor ordered her to stay in the hospital for observation. Xiaoling said, I have to go back to the set. The last scene where the real princess wears the crown hasn't been finished yet. Lin Yunan shook his phone. I just received the message that Xia Yu has taken your position. Why? Xiaoling was startled and said, are they afraid that I will be injured and unable to shoot? Tell them that I have nothing to do and return to the scene now. Xia Yu has been eyeing the position of the real princess for a long time. If something happens to you, how can she not seize the opportunity? Lin Yunan's expression was sarcastic, and he didn't know who he was sarcastic about. In addition, Gulen, the sponsor, is adding fuel to the fire, saying that you will lead the performance will not be perfect if she is injured, and it will easily affect the reputation of Gu's perfume. For example, public opinion will say that they mistreat the laborers, and the show team has nothing to do if Gulen insists on replacing the real princess. Xiaoling was withdrawn, and Rongping must also be withdrawn. Jimmy asked without giving up, "Is there no room for redemption? It's just a small injury, what's the big deal?" It's not that his artist doesn't feel sorry for her, Jimmy only thinks that Xiaoling is troublesome and is dragging down Rongping. Lin Yunan sneered, "It's one thing for Xiaoling to show up with an injury. Whether the injury is serious or not is another matter. Jimmy, you are thick-skinned and thick-skinned. Our Xiaoling is different. She is a dancer. No matter how injured her waist is, any injury is a serious injury. If you don't take good care of yourself, what will happen if you encounter problems in the future?" Xiaoling nodded. She took a risk by going into battle injured, but people didn't appreciate her. Rongping, who is also an artist, can somewhat understand. However, he was torn between Xiaoling's injury and his career, and he still chose his career. "Xiaoling, take time to recuperate today. We will find a way to negotiate with the program team and start filming again tomorrow." "Tomorrow? The day lilies are all cold." Lin Yunan sneered and looked at them. "Today, now, immediately, we will go back to the scene and finish shooting that set of shots." He is also a shrewd pragmatist who puts interests first. The reason why he was willing to pick up Xiaoling in the first place was not to have a relationship with her, but because he believed in her potential as a queen and her value. He was not nervous about Xiaoling's injury. But what made him nervous was that he was afraid that she would leave any sequelae that would affect her subsequent work. "Be careful to protect your waist, come here, I will help you." "Slow down." He helped Xiaoling get into the car. "As for whether she is tired, does it hurt?" "Sorry, it's not in his consideration." Xiaoling took a short rest in the car on the way back. During this period, Jimmy and Lin Yunan were constantly on the phone, mediating and negotiating with the program team, trying to get Xiaoling's group back on track. But the results achieved were unsatisfactory. Jimmy hung up the phone and sighed with a dark face, "It's probably useless to go back." End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weiniang. Chapter 330. Chapter 330. Change to the real princess again. "What?" Xiaoling looked up at him. "They have already started filming." "Driver, drive faster," Lin Yunan said. "You won't give up until the last moment." Jimmy smiled bitterly and shook his head. "It's useless. What reasons can we use to convince the program team? Going back will only be a waste of embarrassment." Lin Yunan ignored him and only said to Xiaoling and Rongping, "Jimmy and I will get out of the car later. You stay in the car. After the matter is settled, I will ask Wai Wei to call you out." He didn't even raise his head. "Call Wai Wei immediately." Jimmy looked a little embarrassed. "What can you do?" Lin Yunan glared at him fiercely while talking on the phone, meaning don't make any noise. Jimmy silently shut up. Xiaoling watched with emotion. She understood more and more why Feng Kun had to recommend this agent in the first place. You may not be able to tell when things are going smoothly, but once an emergency like this happens, an excellent manager will not give up fighting for the artist's rights. And Jimmy? That's not to say that Jimmy is not excellent. He is not a small role player who can be the agent of a big movie king. However, in front of Lin Yunan, he is really not good enough. Rongping didn't look good. Looking at other people's agents and then his own agent, he was too incompetent. The car drove back to the scene. Lin Yunan took Jimmy out of the car with murderous intent, went straight to the filming location, and shouted loudly. Everyone turned to look at him. Xia Yu over there was looking forward to being put on the crystal crown with happiness on her face. Suddenly she heard a shout and turned around inexplicably. Her and Zheng Chenhao's acting skills are both good, so how could they be called out for no reason? Only when she saw that the person shouting was Lin Yunan did she realize that trouble was coming. "Lin Yunan, please don't interfere with the filming work," Xia Yu's assistant said. As her agent, Chu Chen is also the head of the Emperor's agency department and the vice president of the company. He is usually busy with affairs and is not always by her side. Therefore, although many artists here have agents, she only has an assistant. Lin Yunan ignored him at all and only spoke to the director. "The bead nail that hurt Xiaoling is now in my hand. Combined with some other evidence, I now suspect that someone deliberately framed Xiaoling in order to make the real princess change hands. In this regard, I reserve the right to call the police and accept media interviews." Threat: this is definitely a naked threat. As soon as these words came out, the whole place was in an uproar. Everyone present had seen with their own eyes how Xiaoling had been injured before. Those rusty beads were indeed fishy, and it could not be ruled out that someone was framed. This kind of thing is very common in the entertainment industry. In order to win good roles and good scenes, what methods can't be used, openly and secretly? Although everyone sympathized with Xiaoling, they just lamented that this girl was unlucky and were not filled with indignation. Now, after Lin Yunan said this, many people were unhappy. The director stood up. "Mr. Lin, what do you want to do? Do you know how much negative impact this will have on the program? Call the police. Accept media interviews. Doesn't this clearly tell the outside world that their program has a shady story? Bizarre Adventure has aired for so many episodes, and the reviews have always been positive. The TV station is planning to use it to compete for awards. How could something go wrong at this juncture?" Lin Yunan sneered. "The program team won't give Xiaoling face. Why should I give the show team face? Unlike other agents, he has never been impatient to practice Tai Chi in the guise of a civilized person. An old gangster, but because of his style, many people dare not provoke him." Seeing that the conversation was getting more and more tense, the producer had to come out to smooth things over. "Don't get excited, Mr. Lin, don't get excited. We are also thinking about Xiaoling, because we are afraid that it will be too hard for her to go into battle with injuries. Xiaoling is willing to do it herself. Why are you being pretentious?" Lin Yunan glanced around. "Is there really a shady story? Did our Xiaoling block someone's way and suffered such an unreasonable disaster?" "Mr. Lin, don't talk nonsense." The one who spoke was Xia Yu. She felt that she could no longer pretend that she didn't exist. Lin Yunan was talking about conspiracy and obstruction. Overtly and covertly, he was referring to the position of the real princess. The successor, she is Xia Yu. "Are you saying that I assassinated Xiaoling? This is slander. You need evidence." Her eyes were filled with tears, and she looked extremely aggrieved. "Oh, whether it's you or not, I don't have to say it, the police have the final say." Lin Yunan simply blocked her words. "Why don't we ask the police to check?" He was not sure who framed Xiaoling. At present, it seems that Gu Lin is the most likely. However, it is true that Xia Yu and Xiaoling have a grudge, and they are the vested interests of the real princess this time. If she did something to Xiaoling, Lin Yunan would not be surprised. But no matter what, the program team will not let him really go to the police. Once something like this is exposed to the outside world, no matter what the final investigation result is, the reputation of the program team will be bad. If something shady is really revealed, there will definitely be no good consequences. Even if the shady story is not exposed, the worst thing is that the staff made a mistake and did not check the clothes properly, which hurt the female artist. Fans will definitely criticize the show team, and the competitors of the Bizarre Adventure show will definitely be happy to see the results and add fuel to the fire. At this critical moment of competition for awards, the TV director will kill them. Thinking of this, the producer made a quick decision. For such a trivial matter, there is no need to bother the police. It's just a misunderstanding. If Xiaoling is not seriously injured, just come back for filming. She is still the real princess. Producer Gong, this time it was Zheng Qinhao who was not happy. How can you just change people at will, changing people day and night? Are you kidding us? They were partnered with Xiaoyu. If they are replaced, they will also be replaced, and of course they will stop working. Before the producer could reply, Lin Yunan smiled meaningfully. I am indeed very sorry to King Zheng, director, host. Do we still have time for the night's rebellion? In the car, Xiaoling and Rongping, who had been waiting for a long time, were finally called out of the car. As soon as she got off the car, Xiaoling felt that the atmosphere was a little strange. Many people were looking at her, especially Xiaoyu, who looked pale and looked as if she had been wronged and humiliated. Xiaoling held her head high and maintained the most elegant manner as she and Rongping walked to Lin Yunan and Jimmy. You go and replay the scene with Zheng Qinhao, Lin Yunan said. The previous minigame needs to be reshot. Zheng Qinhao will find a suitable time to defect to your group. Rongping, you will Xiaoling with Zheng Qinhao. Let's help her wear the crown of a true princess. End of this chapter.